Good afternoon, badass artists. I'm Mia Luyando. Today we are back in our newest book, Luna. We started this portrait on Friday. We are working with some Faber Castel Black Edition pencils. Those are awesome on darker grayscale or black paper. So if you've been following along with us at home, go ahead and get comfortable. Join us, grab a snack, grab some coffee, get comfy. We're gonna dive right in. We have Fiona the fairy with us here today. She's lending us some good fairy mojo. So let's go ahead and let me zoom us in and we will get started. Now we started on her eyes as well. We were leaving off with some darker shadowy parts of her skin. We went in with that. Now while we still have all of these wonderful colors out, these flesh tone colors, I've still got them right here beside me. I'm going to get this number 787 and I'm going to go in and touch up this color for her lips. I'm just going to add a little bit right here. Give her this little touch of color. Now we're going to give her skin some blue and green highlights. We're going to really make her kind of different, or at least we're going to give it a stab. We're going to try, see how it works. We reserve the right to change our mind. That's why we have our trusty Derwent Eraser over here. I am just lightly going in and coloring the darker shadowy parts of her lip. Now the upper lip is always going to be a little darker than the lower lip, mainly because it's generally in shadow. You know, this part of the lip tends to, stick out a little farther, so, it creates a shadow over the rest of that lip. And then this sticks out a little farther, so it catches the highlight. So as a rule, you're always going to have a darker upper lip. Just kind of depends on where your light source is coming from, but that's a general rule. And I'm going to add to the darker shades down here also. Now I'm going to take a lighter shade. I'm using the skin tones, and I'm also using the Black Edition, just the regular Black Edition, and I'll link both of those in the description. This one is number 723. And I'm just kind of bringing this up a little bit. It's a little bit lighter, but it still has that kind of clay, pinky, terracotta tone to it. It's just very natural. And on the upper lip, I'm just kind of going over the entire lip very softly with this color. And on the bottom lip, I'm just kind of softly going over, kind of that squishy, the plump part of the lip. Now while we're still here on her face, in the face area, I'm going to get a black, just a pure black, actually set my pencils on the wrong side of me, so bear with me. Okay, so this is just number 712. It's just pure black. These don't have color names on them. But before I get started, I'm going to sharpen this a little bit sharper because we're going to work on her eyelashes real quick. I like to go into lashes with a pretty daggery point, you guys know. So I'm just going to kind of go over here and do these little flicks. We've done, you know, several eyelash tutorials already, but just remember, you know, you're not trying to keep them all the same length. You're not trying to make them uniform. They're random. They're gonna fall over top of each other. They're gonna crisscross each other. Now these eyelashes also, we're gonna go in with some different colors because she is very metallic and luminous, and she's got a lot going on in her face. We're not going to add all the metallic colors into the eyelashes right now, but we are going to get these darker black ones in. It kind of gives us a gauge. It helps me to know how far up I want the color to come as we're moving along. And don't worry if you get color on the eyelashes later. We can go in and add them back in. I just like to put them in so that I can, you know, kind of gauge my way. Especially when I'm doing something that's sort of like makeup. I don't add a lot of makeup to the eyes of my little fairies, so when I am adding a lot of color around the eye area, it helps me to kind of gauge my distance. Now, I'm also going to go in and just kind of darken up these brows. And I still have no idea why these pencils are so squeaky. And it is only this brand. I might switch them. We might jump over and use a different brand if they don't stop squeaking. They're so pretty though, and they're so pretty on the grayscale, but they just, it's almost like the paper and this particular pencil just, they don't like each other. I don't know, I've never seen anything like that. But pressing on, I'm going to choose a light aqua color. This is number 739. And I'm going to go right into her skin, right over here. And I know you're thinking, what are you doing? Well, she's a little Luna moth fairy, and her skin is going to be greenish blue, depending on how we look at her in the light. And so we're going to add some undertones. Now, the flesh tone underneath this, here's some color theory lessons. This is also, the Faber Castel Black Edition are wax pencils. So wax pencils will blend with each other. They don't sit on top of each other like oil pencils do. So when you're using wax pencils, remember, the flesh tone underneath this has a lot of red in it, okay? When you add a blue, you're going to get a purple hue. Those two colors are going to mix together. So you have to remember, You're going to have to accommodate that. You're going to have to remember that that's probably going to happen. Once you start mixing them together, you're going to get this little purple undertone. If you go in and you add the green is going to mix and you're going to have more of a flesh tone. That's why I'm choosing a color that's got more, you know, kind of a greenish tint, sort of an aqua tone. This has more blue. We will see a little bit of purple, but instead of going in with something like this, I'm going in with something like this because I don't want it to turn purpley. I'd rather it turn more fleshy. And maybe we might need to do like another class on primary colors and opposing colors and what happens when you mix two colors together, because when you mix two opposing colors together, like if you mix red and green together, you'll come up with a flesh tone. It's very bizarre. If you mix orange and blue together, those are opposing colors, you'll get a flesh tone. And orange and yellow and purple, you can make them lighter or darker by adding, you know, white or black or, you know, whatever. But you will get this, you know, pretty kind of flesh tone, and we'll do that. We'll do that this week. We're going to be doing some sketches from our just straightforward sketches of fairies in our sketchbook, probably tomorrow or Wednesday. We're going to work on that, and when we do that, we'll just get the pencils out and show, you know, what the colors look like when we mix them together, how to mix our own flesh tones. That'll be fun. We'll do that this week. But that's what I was saying. When you go in with another pencil and you're using wax, sometimes, you know, you guys are disappointed when, you know, you're like, ooh, I did this, and then all of a sudden it was another color. That's what happens with wax. If you go over it with, you know, it's going to happen eventually. You know, with layers of oil pencils, your color's going to change, but it takes longer for it to happen. Wax, it's almost like the friction of the pencils together makes that wax melt, and they kind of blend together. Does that make sense? Whereas the oil pencils, they have to sit on top of each other, and you have to really build those up before the colors merge together. It's more of an illusion. So if you are using wax pencils and you start to build your colors up, just be mindful. Just be mindful of that. And I know color theory or you know, just colors and mixing them together and this and that, it seems kind of scary and overwhelming. But you know what? In the end, there are no wrong answers. It's all about just taking your time, and don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. In the end, if you get a color that doesn't look right, if the colors mix, you can always erase it. We can fix anything. Don't overthink it. So I don't want her to be solid blue, but we are going to make her more extreme around the eyes and this area. Actually, I think I have a picture of her on the back. Let's have a look. Yeah, here we go. So her wing area on her head, but I did, and the shadow area of her face has more blue and green, but I actually want to make her, you know, more like this one, where she's got a lot more blue and green in her skin. So we're kind of making her a combination of these two. So we'll press on. The paintings on the covers are digitally done. For those of you that are kind of just joining and didn't know, those are digitally painted because they're more vivid, they're brighter than colorings with, you know, pencils or crayons. But we can still get a pretty vivid coloring with our mediums. I'm going to add this under her eyes. See how I'm bringing that blue all the way up into the flesh tone? Just kind of mixing those two together. And I'm going to fill this little area in here as well with that blue color. Just go right in over the flesh tone. It is blue, but it's definitely got more green in it, as we were looking at earlier. I wish they had color names. So much easier to identify them. And I'm going to bring this side down as well, and then we're going to grab one that's a little bit greener and a little bit brighter. And we're going to work our way around her forehead. This one is number 708. I'm going to start with that one. And we're just going to kind of work this in from the corner of her eye. This is number 740. And I'm going to kind of work this around. And all of them have more green. I mean, they all are sort of a bluish aqua teal color, but they all have more green in them. hope you guys are enjoying this one. This is a big, you know, a lot of fun. I enjoyed making this book, so hopefully as you're receiving them out there, hopefully you're enjoying it too. And I'm just kind of working this color in, nice and easy. And bringing it down to this darker shadow of her chin. Now I'm going to go back to lighter kind of aqua green. This one. Sorry, I had to grab my hand brace real quick. This is number 759. And I'm going to go right on in here and pick up. Make sure this is green enough. Yes. Right under here. And again, I don't want her entire face to be this color, but we're going to definitely give her some good highlighting areas, definitely around her eyes. Now I'm going to get a more vivid kind of green color. This one is number 742. And we're just using a bunch of greens, aren't we? We're just making them all work for us. And this is going to be so pretty when we're done. And I'm going to go ahead and finish that upper area right there in a deeper green. This side of her face is a bit more shadowy, and see how we did go over those eyelashes. You can still see them peeking out, but we're going to go over those with some really light kind of lima bean green here in a little while. We're really going to make her vivid, but right now we just kind of have some placement in there so we know the area that's really shadowy underneath those lashes. And we're not going to go underneath those, not too far. do something that might seem a little weird. But I'm gonna grab a dark yellow. This is number 701, and I'm gonna go right up here to the top, not under the lashes, but pretty close. And I'm gonna add this yellow to brighten it up, because I really want this area to pop. See how that really sets off the eye? Because this is supposed to be a very shadowy, deep area. And by giving it this pop of color, you're just like really wowing us with the amount of color that's saturated in the area. It's competing with the shadows and still winning, so that's why we're adding this little boom of color right here. Now I'm going to go back to the very lightest one, the number 759, and I'm going to finish out this little area. Back to our flesh tone. Let's see, which one do we want? I think we were using number 723. Yep. Kind of, it needs a sharpen. Let me sharpen it real quick. I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to work this color. This might be a little bit too dark, but we're going to go for it right now. Number 747. This is a little bit lighter, I think. Yes, just a touch lighter. A little closer. And I'm also going to bring the color right into the eyebrow so we don't inadvertently leave any grayscale hanging around in there. And I'm going to just kind of finish off this eyelid with a brow area. And that's on also along this water line here. We're going to fill that in. And at this point, we're going to bring this flesh tone on down the face. We're going to fill it in, and then we're going to touch here and there to even it out, obviously, so that she doesn't look so extreme in some places. But since we're already at 30 minutes, we're going to call it a day just for this, for today. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll fill in the rest of her face, and we'll start working on her hair and this jewel piece and the metal of her headpiece. Okay, if you found this helpful, I hope you will give me a thumbs up. It only takes a second, it doesn't cost anything, and it helps the channel so much. If you haven't already subscribed, I hope you will. That way you'll always know when I upload a new video, and it's usually 3 to 4 times a week. I'm also going to add a link in the description below to all of the supplies that I used today. Jump on over to Amazon, order one up if you think that these will be helpful to you. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed it as much as me, had lots of fun, and I will see you on Wednesday.